Friends, there aren't many games that truly suck me in enough to the point where I look at the clock and it's gone from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. From my wrist and back issues to my non existent attention span, it's just hard for me to play a game for more than 2 hours. I never fault a game for losing me after a while because it's just who I am. I get bored easily, always have. One thing I want to state is that when I saw the trailer for this next game, I knew it might be something I'd enjoy just due to the isometric RPG style. But I was not prepared for me saying, just 30 more minutes, after 3 hours of playing it. Prior to writing this review, I sat down with the intention to spend 1 more hour playing it to have a fresh image of it in my brain. And here we are, 2 hours later. My point is, this game has captured me. I need to start this review off with a slight warning. This game does initially have gore and slight nudity in it. However, you can turn it all off in the settings of the main menu. Ironically, when the devs reached out to me and first told me about SVAROG'S, it didn't have the option to disable the nudity. I politely told them that we can't do much more than feature games with nudity on our Steam and in our articles, as it doesn't fit our community and interests. They came back a few weeks later and told me they'd added a setting for turning it off completely, and it actually made my heart skip a bit. It opened the game up for me to do this review and present the game to our Safe for Work community. And now that I can, let's jump into it. I'll start with the story, which had me captivated by 15 minutes in. You get mentions of old gods, the one true god, demons, death. It's also vague at the beginning that I couldn't help but be curious. I'm the curious cat, so dropping hints about the story immediately, but leaving us hanging enough to drive us forward, it's just great storytelling. I'm happy to say that by hour 5, it still had me going. I'll give you a brief rundown, free of big spoilers, but you're a soul that's inhabited the body of a human that's been told you're going to be killing a god. It's of course another god, big shock, that's told you this. So it's obvious early on, somebody's got beef. You're then sent on a wild goose chase looking for artifacts and hoping to get the gifts of multiple gods bestowed upon you. The story did a brilliant job of taking me to multiple different parts of the map, and a map that feels alive with nearly every step. From random animals to hunt, plants to pick, strangers to meet and either help or harm. And yes, odd camps of enemies too. It wasn't as hectic as something like Diablo 4, and not so peaceful that you feel safe at any given time. There are multiple towns and areas of interest that once you've visited, you can fast travel to. The points are far enough away to make using them worthwhile, but are still close enough to quest objectives in the vicinity that I didn't feel as though I was playing a running simulator, and that was appreciated. One last thing I want to mention on the map is the amount of random incidents that happen. As you complete quests, the world reacts to your choices and changes. New merchants might show up in a camp that you cleared out, a hippogriff might take to the skies and start hunting you because you stole its egg a few days before. My personal favorites are when the crops get blessed and you can hoard wheat like it isn't the most plentiful crop in the world. Seriously though, a world that lives and breathes with change is one that keeps me interested even after 10 hours. Moving to talk about the NPCs, I can't say I felt any particular interest towards the townsfolk, but I did find the quest quirky and funny most of the time. This is an indie game, meaning yes, there are a few spelling errors, but that's mostly due to translation, so let's be gentle on that aspect. Next, some of the side quest writing is short and lackluster, but I'm the skip the quest text person that wanders around until she realizes she should have read the quest text, because it's all the way across the map and she'd been following some other side quest that's 10 levels below me and now it's not worth doing. Yeah, that's our brain. So it doesn't really bother me if side quests are meh. I'm only there to be civil and do their monotonous task in exchange for something shiny or for the feeling of doing something good, because that's a reward too. I will compliment the main story, as by hour 5 I was talking to God on a hill and I deeply appreciated their spin on Christianity and religion in general. It was a beautiful take that shouldn't offend anyone. Never have I ever felt like a game is acknowledging multiple belief systems at once, but how they managed to spin it was like a silvery spiderweb in the fresh morning dew. Wonderful. I'll also state that I enjoyed the random house and camps we get to call our own and upgrade. I have entirely too much storage, and my random mercenary camp has a super upgraded forge, so I can make a shiny new bow to shoot people with. Honestly though, the amount of small side things you can do in the game, from risking your life gambling with goblins that might kill you right after you leave the place, to running for your life from a golem that hits you twice with his fists and knocks you dead. This is a perfect time to talk about what happens when you die, because every time you do take a dirt nap, you'll lose your character. Don't freak out. You can go pick up your stuff off your body, and you can even change your mastery if you want, but your physical body and background will change. Also, the world grows in chaos anytime you die, so avoid doing it too often unless you want to be playing Diablo 4. I want to touch on the mastery I just mentioned, as you do get to choose your spec and mastery. You can pick one of 3, and I of course went with the archer. There's a light path and a dark path, and while which one you choose doesn't ultimately matter unless you're too far on one side, The choice is up to you if you want to full send it into darkness or be a warrior of the light. I'm pretty even right now with a few more points in light, but I'm just picking the skills that seem useful to me, so I don't have some grand RP plan to be a lawful good archer. With all the positive out of the way, let's get to the less positive part, as that's the true Pillow Fort way. I took a quick browse through the Steam reviews to see what other people's thoughts are and whether I agreed or not. I did find a few remarks with some validity to them, so let's talk about that for a moment. The first is a simple one, and it's that the UI and text interaction screens could use some polishing. I can agree that the art is simplistic and sometimes the text disappears off the screen entirely, but I'll be the first to say that this is an easily remedied issue of the least importance. I'd much rather have them polish up any gameplay issues or bugs people are experiencing prior to tackling the art. It's easy to read too much into something simple like this, and as a connoisseur of indie games, I don't mind a little rough around the edges UI if the game offers a great story and a world that feels alive. Another comment I read that was negative was the pathing, which, yes, can be finicky at times. You'll be happy to know, though, that the devs recently implemented the ability to control your character with WASD, though any reviews you might come across mentioning more pathing should be fixed with that huge improvement. Kudos to the team to hearing their community and implementing vital feedback. One last note I'll make is that I did experience some serious struggles with one of the castles on the coast. The sheer amount of levels and awkward pathing in tight spaces made it almost impossible to clear it out and move around. I was quite overleveled, so it didn't end up mattering too much since I could comfortably one or two shot everything in it, but I imagine someone of lower level would definitely have struggled with the intense FPS drop and input lag. All in all, I honestly just have to give this one a Pillow Fort stamp of approval. They've already been patching and updating things, and they literally implemented an entire content filter because of my suggestion, and better controls due to the community asking for it. This is an indie team with passion and care for their game, so if you're skeptical, just give it a few weeks to polish itself up and then give it a shot. Because if you enjoy story-driven isometric RPGs that give you the true freedom of a world to explore, only it lives and changes with your choices, then this is one to check out. That's going to be it for this review, but don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. There's constantly new games to find. Thanks for watching, and until next time.